beautiful people, awesome people, dangerous people. How are you doing again? We're back here with the Alex Jones Show, Colin Rivers Show, and Leo Zagami Show, right from United States, Spain, and Europe. And you're gonna be amazed. We're gonna have an entertaining next 45 minutes. We're gonna talk about Trump's achievements and also David Icke's polemic. There's a lot of controversy because David Icke is been criticizing Donald Trump and also Elon Musk's team. I think that they're doing an awesome job. I don't agree on everything, but when worst come to the worst, I think they're doing very fine. And we are back today with Leo. Leo is right there in California, just right 12 midday, and that's Leo Zagami. Leo Zagami, enough Leo Zagami. And we have Rafa Pal also. He's a bestseller right from Spain. He's also a Trump warrior, digital warrior we call it, or something like that. And me myself, that you know me, Colin Rivers, the Colin Rivers show as usual, and having fun with this live theater. Remember, we're gonna start here, and we're gonna do a little talk with Leo. Leo, that he's there in America. He's living in his very own skin all these amazing achievements by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has basically kept his promise about everything he promised during the pre-campaign, the other presidency term, whatever, to 2016 to 2020, and now he's even like probably outrunning himself. I mean, he's doing a great job with Elon Musk. Some people even they say Elon Musk is not Elon Musk because some hair thing and he's a clone or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not in contact with the aliens so far. So I think Trump is on
Oh,
the
Colin, let's not exaggerate. I mean, reality
maybe he's
is already.
reptilian. He's got
I
a
think,
he's got
I
a
think,
PC in
Colin,
his
that
stomach or
reality
something.
is already enough. We don't have to add anything to it. I mean, the theater of reality, the architecture of this world order is already messed up enough to add any elements. Anyway, I'm glad to be here also because Donald J. Trump and his communication team have recognized me worthy of being included within the press passes, even for the White House. I receive daily emails from the communication team at the White House. So I'm very much glad also to have been participant with him and worked with his team at the Coachella, very successful event, as you know, which was 107,000 people here in the Coachella Valley. I find his team very, very nice. I mean, the recognizing a small reality like the Leo Zagami show was for us a great achievement. So we are carrying on in our mission, and of course, not everything that he does might be of our liking, but I think up until now, promises made, promises kept. So I don't really have any particular criticism, if not that he needs to hurry up in regards to the inflation, or maybe just send us a check with all the money he's saving through Doge, because the problem is that the majority of Americans are still feeling in their pockets the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration and the way he threw money literally out of the window. So, I mean, we go to the supermarket and nothing is changed yet. So I hope that things can work out soon. And after all these executive orders, we can go down also to some business in the economic field. However, we have some problems that are very practical in regards, for example, to this bird flu or whatever it is, because the cost of eggs is enormous. And of course, a lot of products are made out of eggs. And here in America, we are suffering very much the cost of eggs, even when we go for breakfast or we go for lunch or dinner.
Exactly.
So,
Eggs are healing. They know that they started a strong campaign against eggs. They've been going on for like maybe 20 years. You should eat only the white and not the yolk and this and that. Now they're trying to put the chickens under scrutiny. and even if you have chickens, you have to pay something, or give him a little carrot. You know what I mean? I don't. I just want to talk a little bit cryptically here, but the most
You
important.
know, I personally think that you know, we might be under some kind of biowarfare attack. I mean, we never really had a full explanation regarding those drones that were flying around, but in regards to this bird flu, also, I mean, it would be very easy for a foreign country that is hostile to us to maybe sabotage us with some kind of biowarfare attack towards our birds, because it's not only the chickens here. The problem is this bird flu is present in the wild life, and is present in the ducks and in every single possible bird. So
Mhm.
like I said, now we hope
They probably
that
are intoxicating. They're intoxicating the wildlife, and they're intoxicating the chickens.
and of
But
course,
but
the final result, like Rafa Pal might, I think, agree, is that then in the end, not only the prices go up, but also the control from the industries that, of course, are supplying us with food. Let's not forget that this is the moment in which America should theoretically be made healthy again by RFK Jr. and his team. But we know that it's not been the case up until now. So
but Bill Gates is buying all the land. Soros buying all the land. They're buying the land to actually not give you meat, because they don't want you to be healthy with protein and fat and animal saturated
sure.
fat. They want to give you grains. They want to give you seeds. So this shit is carbohydrates. They want to give you a lot of sugar with the corn and the wheat and stuff. And this is what you pointed out here, that they are doing some. They're making up some plan here to make people sick, and depend on drugs like not only fentanyl, but the pharmacy, big pharma drugs. Now, one very bad thing, I think, is the only thing about Trump, and we start with the bad things and then we move on to the better things, and then we'll see Zelensky, the little hobbit from the east, uh that little muppet, is the Gaza thing. We had three or four solutions before Trump came into the scene, in which Palestine should be a state, then Palestine and Israel should share things and whatever. Then there was a couple of ministers from Israel that in the 80s and 90s they were eliminated, let's say. But now there's a new solution that Trump says that is going to be a resort. So he's going to turn Palestine, or not Palestine, Gaza, into Qatar, or into Dubai, or something like Saudi Arabia. Yeah. What do you guys think about this? Let's start with Rafa Pal. Do you think that because the anti-Zionists, they're going to start, like screaming, oh my God, these people that they're anti-Zionists, now they're pro-Trump, and Trump is Zionist, and blah 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 blah. And David Icke is one of these people. They say, well, you have to be against Trump on every single thing, even if he does this, because he's pro-Zionist and he's son-in-law and whatever, and he dances, with the Hanukkah guys and whatever. Rafa, what is your take on this one?
Okay, I have to tell you that I love Donald Trump, but I don't believe a word of what he's saying about Gaza. I think he's playing poker. I think what he's telling to the world and to the Zionists, to the politicians in Israel, is something to calm them before disposing of the Jeffrey Epstein's list, in which, as we all of us know, there are a lot of prominent figures of the Zionists. So we have to tell the audience, if they didn't know at this time, that he has approved a military help to Israel of 1,400 million, 1 billion in American terms. That is completely crazy, because it's happening at the same time in which he's saying that he's not going to help NATO anymore, neither Ukraine. So, to me, what Trump is doing is just a distraction to the Zionists, to the Israeli state, while he is moving his pieces in this chess game that is going to stop the the monetary system controlled by the Zionists, because at the same time, because there are such amount of movements that Donald Trump has made in only 1.5 months that is completely nonsense, because today on Sunday, I don't know if yesterday, but he's explaining to the people also what he's going to do with the cryptocurrency. That is another main topic, but at the end it converts with the monetary system, the demise of the Federal Reserve, and all this goes in the same way with the the main arm in power in the hands of the Zionists. So that I think that he's only joking. He's not going to give Israel Gaza nothing at all, because he has a very good relationship with the Arab world, but he's trying to make a distraction while he's doing bad things for them.
Okay. And Leo, what do you think about this? Because he also put up this post on Gaza. Is he also doing gibberish and trying to kill some time to keep the Zionists entertained with the idea of like, oh, he's going to be all modern and we're going to give you the management of the area or whatever? What do you think? What is your take on this one too, Leo?
As you know, I wrote a book on the topic of Islamic secret societies, Islamic Freemasonry, and eternal conflict in the Middle East. Now, this video was made by Don Jr., and I fully agreed that Gaza given back to Hamas would be simply brainwashing, because from my own personal view, from my own personal experience in the Middle East, I mean, I had a kid with descendant of Prophet Muhammad that I haven't seen since 2008. I mean, I know exactly how these people work. So, and I remember once my first wife admitted that when she was 10 years old, she was brought into what I can only describe as a brainwashing center, where they were showing her videos on how to hate Israel, hate the Jews. So things will never really change if we let Gaza continue like this. Then when people say, oh, everything needs to go back to the legitimate owners, let's not forget that, like I said, and like I wrote in my book, this territory was actually headed by the Knights Templars and was filled with Jews and Christians, and it was Saladin who conquered it in a barbaric way. So, I mean, this is a controversial land. We know there's always controversy around this piece of land. I don't know if it's realistic to transform it in the new Riviera like Beirut used to be, like Lebanon used to be. But the thing is, how did Lebanon get ruined? Now, Lebanon get ruined when the Palestinians arrive and when groups like Hezbollah started. So just go back in time and check out how in the first and last part of the 60s and first part of the 70s, it was called the Swiss of the Middle East, Beirut and Lebanon. I mean, it was a beautiful place, just like Trump is showing Gaza would become. And how did it get to become the shithole it is today? Because of the Palestinians that were pushed there from Jordan. And this is history, guys. So personally, I think that this area needs a complete remake. And regardless of the fact that this video, of course, is very controversial, and it's made in a way that, of course, is also to challenge the present leaders of the area, which is Hamas. Let's not forget, Hamas has been voted there. People actually voted Hamas in Gaza. So what are we going to do? Are we going to leave Hamas to these people so they can brainwash new generations to hate Israelis? I mean, I don't think it's... Guys, this place used to be the holy place of the Sabbateans. Nathan of Gaza, who accepted, he was like the John the Baptist of the Sabbatean movement, invited their Shabbatai Zevi and did this lavish ritual when they were kicked out of Jerusalem. Let's not forget the connection also with the Sabbatean movement, because here we talk about Zionists, but maybe people should read and study the Sabbatean Frankists, because the Sabbateans were the ones who inspired later on the Zionists to go back to Israel. It was the Sabbatai Zevi who said first, and he was an agent of the United Kingdom of Great Britain because his father was working for the Brits. So these people, and here you have, see, Nathan of Gaza, Shabbatai Zevi. These people were the first ones to say to the Jews, come back to Israel, when the Jews didn't really want to come back to Israel. So now we have a problem. Let's sort it out. If we sort it out in the old way, we will never sort it out. Trump has, I think, done a provocation, which is typical in the art of the deal. And the guy you see next to Trump now on the screen is himself from Ukraine. Now, Jacob Frank, who claimed to be the reincarnation of Shabbatai Zevi almost 100 years later, was born in Ukraine. If it wasn't for Ukraine and for Poland, this mess would not be possible. Because, like I explained also in volume 9 of my Confessions, since the 1830s, both Poland and the Illuminati in Germany artificially constructed this Ukrainian identity. And then we have Zelensky, who is actually a Jew. But what kind of Jew? He is no ordinary Jew. He is a Sabbatean Frankist. And what does it mean, being a Sabbatean Frankist? It means being an heretic, somebody who doesn't believe really in his own religion. Sabbatean Frankists used to go around eating pork and doing things completely contrary to Jewish tradition, because that's the way they think through darkness they can achieve the Messianic age. Through embracing evil, they can achieve the arrival of the Messiah. Well, I think that we need to, of course, understand that these nuances in the Jewish faith. Otherwise, we will be confused and we will start being anti-Semitic in the way that nowadays Alex Jones and his posse have become very confused. And people like Daniel Estulin, who was himself an anti-Trumper, who wrote a book against Trump, is now talking pro-Trump on the Alex Jones show. Guys, we need to be coherent about all this. And Madame Blavatsky, where was Madame Blavatsky born, Colin?
Ukraine.
Yes, in Dnipro, Ukraine. So Ukraine, as I explained in volume 9, is actually the home of modern Satanism. And in fact, when this whole confrontation started to escalate, of course, it starts in 2014 with the coup d'etat that took out a legitimately elected president and started the persecution for 8 years of the Russian-speaking population. Now, I'm a person who has been probably 30 times to Russia. I worked with the Russian Ministry of Culture. I met 2 times Vladimir Putin. And I can say that the Russians have all the reasons for doing what they have done. In fact, in 2000, I think it was 2011, I was at dinner with a family friend from England. As you know, I'm half English. And he's a British colonel who worked for MI6. He just died, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And I confronted him on what they were already doing back then to Ukraine. And I said, this is disrespectful towards the Yalta Treaty and everything that was done to stabilize Europe after the Second World War. And he admitted that they were wrong. So the fact that now Great Britain invites Zelensky and organizes their own war against Russia, well, let them fight a new war. The thing is this, at this point, if Great Britain and Europe want to transform once again the whole continent in a battlefield, let them do it. Maybe all those LGBTQ woke idiots in Europe who go pride, they can go and fight in Ukraine and grow some hair on their balls. But we here in the United States are not going to fight for them. And if people say, oh, we have hundreds of bases in Europe, those bases cost us money and they're no longer strategic for our interests.
But hang on, Leo. Zelensky said yesterday that if the United States cuts off the funding, Then he's going to ask for 250 billion euros to the European community, man. The Europeans
Well,
have to
listen,
give him.
listen, Colin.
This is fucking crazy, man.
No. But listen, and I'm gonna give, of course, the word now to Rafa Pal. Zelensky yesterday got 2.5 billion, not 250 billion from the Great Britain. So he can ask whatever he wants, but Europe is already bankrupt. The locomotive of Europe is Germany. And after they renounced to the fossil fuels from Russia, they got bankrupt. So we are talking nothing here. What, monopoly money? Well, if they want to do a war with monopoly money, welcome. What do you think, Rafa?
Yes. You have mentioned the point that I was wanting to explain about that is what is really doing Donald Trump with this stop of the help to the government of Ukraine. That is tearing apart the European Union because, as you mentioned, now they are alone. They are almost without any military because 70% or 80% of the NATO is the American army, the American money. And now the European Union is, as you have mentioned, in the middle of a very big crisis. Don't forget that we have passed the COVID times in which, we have lost a lot of money in this help to the people that at the end, it didn't ended up in the right hands. So we have, for the first time since Second World War, Europe that is culturally, with a lot of bonds with the Americans because we are their origins. But talking about values, the USA is closer to Russia nowadays than to Europe. And this is the real thing of what is happening right now. If you listen to every word that Donald Trump or Kash Patel or Pam Bondi or Hesed, any of the new American leaders, they are mentioning that they don't agree with the change of values that has experienced the European Union. What I am talking about? I'm talking about the family. I'm talking about the gender ideology. I'm talking about the immigration, the loss of the cultural history and heritage of Europe, or this new Europe that is no European anymore. So at the end, what I was thinking yesterday and today, I read something that General Flynn wrote in his Substack. That is the same thing that I was thinking yesterday. That is, in the case of this supposedly war, Europe against Russia, that is not going to happen. By the way, it's not going to happen. But we have to look at this. That if it's going to happen in this hypothetical point of view, which army, which soldiers, which Europeans are going to fight against Russian? All the younger generations. Sorry. Let me finish. All the younger generations, the patriots, are not attached with their government's values, or neither the European, the Commission values. So, for instance, in Germany or in Spain, the younger generation are for Vox or for Alternative for Deutschland. And in England, they are for Nigel Farage. So, which kind of army are you going to join? And I am answering myself. They are going to be black people from Africa and Muslims. They are the only ones that can go to this hypothetical army, so that at the end, the European Union doesn't have an army, doesn't have money, and don't have any soldier even to fight against Russia. So that what Trump is doing at the end is, ruin the European Union, showing that it cannot exist without American help. That is, the fuel and the, not mentioning the relationship between the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. That is another thing, because if that is what is I am thinking on in those days, that is think for a moment that the BRICS uses a new currency. This supposedly currency that is going to be supported by gold and minerals and so on. At the same time, this new government, new American government that get rid of the Federal Reserve uses another dollar supported by gold. What is going to do the European Union? They are going to be between two superpowers, and they don't have any money, they don't have gold, they don't have anything.
Yeah, but Rafael, actually, if Europe becomes a battlefield again, then we, America and Russia, can divide it once again. The spoils of it, once they fight it, like Trump said, let them fight it amongst each other. And of course, we know that if Napoleon failed and if Adolf Hitler failed, I'm sure that Ursula von der Leyen would definitely fail, even if she has the support of King Charles. Because at the moment, the Brits themselves have admitted that their own army, that once was a mighty, glorious army of the empire, is now ridiculous. And those Muslims that you mentioned, or Africans that should go and fight, they don't want to fight for Great Britain. They don't want to fight.
Yeah, it was a joke, Leo. It was a joke. I was joking. I was wondering what we would.
It's like the very last resort. So excuse me, guys. So Donald Trump is playing Risk. Like the game Risk. He's playing like that, right? Yeah. Like an agent. Yeah, that's why I put there. I just put there. I found something on the internet.
Think about it. He can play Risk, but if Europe becomes like Gaza or Ukraine, then we can, as Americans and Russians, we can go there like after the Second World War and say, okay, you pick up this, you pick up that. We put another line in the middle, and that's it. We're going to buy out Europe for very little money, because, once Europe is destroyed by a war, it's going to be worth nothing. So let them fight it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rafa, if you want, you can have, of course, with Colin, an exile card here in the US, but I don't see a future for Europe in this case.
No, not at all. But this is a good thing.
Leo is very proud of his
the European Union has no future. It's a good thing. And we, as conspiracy theorists, we are a Trojan horse inside the European Union, because one bad thing for the European Commission is that they don't have even their own countries joined together. There is, a dissidence, very big dissidence, that in each of the countries of the European Union, there is a big part of the population that don't agree with the European Union policies.
In fact, Rafael, I think here you really made a point. The problem in Europe is that the so-called democratically elected leaders are not really democratically elected. And the weakness of the so-called democracy we see today in Europe, which basically is a technocracy, which with the non-elected leaders in the EU Commission who take over the show, means that the people really don't have a say. You see, in America, we fought for these elections. We were really fighting, and we knew very well that if Kamala won, we would be censored left, right, and center, and our life would be ruined forever. So we gave it really our last shot with Donald J. Trump. And things are turning right with him. I'm not saying he's perfect, but actually he's representing the will of the people. In Europe, unfortunately, you don't have the will of the people. You have the will of these technocrats, which are, like J.D. Vance said, are reflections of two hills below in Davos. They are the Fourth Reich, as I described in volume 7 of my Confessions. And this Fourth Reich is made of people who are, if not unelected, they don't really represent. I mean, for example, in Italy, even Donald J. Trump says, oh, Meloni, wonderful Meloni. Meloni is like I mean, one day she's playing with Joe Biden, being her caretaker. The other day she's kissing the butt of Donald J. Trump. This is typical of the Italians after the war. No balls, no stamina, no sovereignty. And then you have part of the Italian politicians who are now marching against Trump. Another part, Meloni, who doesn't really says, oh, we should all meet together and make a deal again with America. We have to. They are still, you see, the problem here, I think, is education. The universities, the colleges controlled by the Jesuits, controlled by the sinister people, left-wing people from 1968 onwards who are brainwashed. The current people, leaders of Europe are all woke and they are all disconnected from reality. They don't have a clue of what's going on here in America. That's why they thought that Kamala would win. They were like, Trump has won. You know, it's just like, so this fake war, I mean, Giorgia Meloni needs to decide who she wants to be with. She wants to be with America. Then she has to go out of the EU. There is not going to be any compromises in a few months from now. America is going to ask people like Meloni, are you with us? Are you against us? Because now it's about tariffs, it's about wars, and you have to side with one or the other. And you see, Germany, they made a big thing out of these elections. Wow, these elections will change everything, blah, blah, blah. And a week before the elections, I made a show for the Italians and I said, okay, Alternative for Deutschland is going to take 20%. Merz and his CDU, CSU are going to take almost 30%. He's going to eventually ally with the Social Democrats because nobody wants to ally with Alternative for Deutschland. So what does change in Germany? Nothing. And Germany is a place which I used to work in many years ago. In the middle of the 90s, I worked in the radio in Berlin. I worked as a DJ, as a record producer. I produced albums. It's a place I know very well. But when I went back in 2018 to bring there my wife, because I was invited there, I couldn't recognize the place. It was like being in Islamabad. It was just like filled with Muslims, and they were threatening my wife, who was American. They literally threatened my wife in front of me. So this is Germany today, a country in which Angela Merkel let in 1 million Syrians, over 1 million Syrians. There is basically a Muslim invasion that went out of control, a complete decline, not only of values, but of actually Germany used to be a clean place. Now it's dirty, it's decadent. It's just like, and I don't think that Alternative for Deutschland can save anything because the way that they have rigged the system. You see, when we are talking about Merz, we are talking about the CDU. I don't know if you remember back in the days in Italy, we had the Democrazia Cristiana, the Christian Democrats, up until the early 90s, up until the fall. You remember, no? Well, yeah. It was, of course, all controlled from one little square in Rome, in which in one square you had on one side the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, in the middle you have the Christian Democrats, on the other side you have the Mother Church of the Jesuits, all in one square in Rome, Piazza del Gesù. And so the power was all there, and they never gave power to the communists because, of course, they feared even the alliance. That's why at one point Aldo Moro was killed with an order hit by Henry Kissinger, of course, because no alliance was possible with the communists. Now, we know that after the war, the real fascists, they didn't go into what then became the ancestor of Meloni's party, the MSC. They went into the Christian Democrats. The real fascists, just like the real Nazis like Merz, those are the real Nazis. Merz is the real Nazi in this situation. Alternative for Deutschland is a joke in front of the real Nazis of the CDU, CSU. And so this is the guy you can see who was kidnapped by the so-called Red Brigades. In reality, it was a whole thing set up with Steve Pitsnick and with the CIA and with the Red
Flag operation, yeah.
The Red Brigades were just like a terrorist outlet, like many others, that was controlled by the CIA back in the days for the so-called strategy of tension. Now, The problem is, in Germany, the real Nazis are still in charge. They have all the companies are still the same companies we had during Adolf Hitler's days. Isn't that true, Rafael?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So do you think they're going to get anything to change? No. And at the moment, Germany is in decline, and it will continue to decline, which means that the whole of Europe will decline. So this whole talk about defending Ukraine, yes, because Ukraine is Nazism. The symbol this guy has on his thing is a nationalist Ukrainian symbol connected to the neo-Nazis. He went into the White House with a neo-Nazi symbol. He is filled with cocaine. The guy is completely a cokehead. Major Douglas has confirmed that. I mean, there is confirmations around the abuse of cocaine of Volodymyr Zelensky and his team. And cocaine makes you see things in a completely different, you have a distorted perception of reality. So Volodymyr Zelensky is like Scarface.
Yeah.
He's like Scarface in the last scene of Scarface, when he's like immerging cocaine up to his neck. And then, with the machine gun. And regarding David Icke, okay, he has made a point.
Yeah, let's move on to David. David Icke has made some comments on Twitter.
Let me add something. Sorry, Colin. Let's return just for a couple of minutes to this struggle between the European Union and the USA. I think that the main theme, the main focus of this battle, these new enemies that are the European Union and the USA, is the narrative. The narrative in which, the supposed values of the European Union are going to be destroyed. And one of the main things is about liberties, liberty of expression, about the censorship that countries such as the UK or Ireland or Germany are putting in their in the arena, in the social media, and at the same time, controlling all the narrative of what has happened with the COVID and the vaccines, and the information that Robert Kennedy, for instance, is showing, and he's going to tell much more about what is happening with the American health, is going to affect the Europeans in the sense that they are going to lose confidence in their governments and in the press. But at the same time, the European Union has pushed that the recent elections in Romania, in which a guy, a politician named Călin Georgescu, has won with a discourse, with a speech against the European Union and against the globalists, was closed those elections, so that they are not showing that what they pretend to be, that they are supposedly Democrats, so that Donald Trump is going to use this in order to ruin the European Union and to put the public, the audience, out of the of the governments, not following the orders of the governments. And because if there had to be a war against Russia, the public has to be joined. And with all these polemics and all the information that's going to erupt from the USA, coming from all this disclosure of informations about the John Kennedy assassination and the Epstein files, and all the big politicians and big businessmen from Europe that were involved in that, all that is going to affect negatively to the European Union. And this is going to be the first step to going to win this war for Trump.
Well, Rafa, you mentioned the Romanian elections that, of course, were not accepted by the leaders, the technocrats in Brussels, simply because Georgescu doesn't fit their narrative. He's a sovereignist, he's closer to opening to Russia. And I know Romania very well. I was a member, actually, of Romanian Freemason. I even have a Romanian Masonic passport by General Bartolomeo Savoio, who these days supports openly Georgescu, and he used to work for NATO up until not so long ago. So let's not forget that Romania was very close to Russia, was part when there was the Soviet Union of the Iron Curtain. Then, of course, they left that reality. But when I visited, the last time I visited Romania, they are still very much respectful of Russia and close to Russia, more than the Europeans would like to think, because Russia has built a lot of things that they still use. For example, everybody has free hot water in Romania because of the factories that give hot water, these big factories they have there in Romania, and there is almost no criminality. All the criminals get sent to Italy or other countries in Europe. If you do something criminal in Romania, they break your bones, the police. They are hardcore. So the thing is, even within Freemasonry, I remember there was a head of the Supreme Council who was actually closer to Russia than he was closer to Europe. So we have a country that, of course, could be the destabilizing factor even within NATO if they don't manage to keep it together. That's why, of course, they are not accepting Georgescu, and they postponed these elections. And now Georgescu has been accused of things, so they can get him out of the way. I hope things, of course, can be fixed. J.D. Vance himself was openly critical at the Munich Security Conference of how the elections in Romania unfolded. Because if Alternative for Deutschland, for example, won in Germany, they will not accept those elections. They will say, oh, there is some kind of Russian interference. We need to redo the election. So when the elections don't come out the way they see it, don't fit their narrative, their progressive narrative, then at that point they change everything. In regards to David Icke that we saw
let's
before,
let's move on to David Icke. Has some polemic about even Alex Jones. He's trying to also attack Alex Jones. Alex Jones has repeatedly asked him to come on the show. He says he's not well. You know, David himself said he's not well. He's off sick or something, but he's doing shows everywhere. And now he says Trump is one of any.
Sorry, you mean sick? Physically,
sick, like
or
ill, like physically,
physically,
ill.
not mental, not mental.
Well, mental, he's going Alzheimer's. I mean, at the moment, he's going bad, man. Because
okay, let me at least talk a little bit about David, because I personally have been a guest of his TV channel. Thanks to Richard Willett, who is the only non-family member of his whole team, and very good, very nice gentleman who, of course, he told me, they don't agree with my pro-Trump stand, but they still give me the possibility of being interviewed and promote my book. So that was very nice. I remember David Icke when in 2006, he was amongst the first people to pick up on my articles, and that made me very popular. So I have gratitude, but like I wrote in Invisible Master, there is also some elements of David Icke, which of course I find difficult to embrace, like that whole reptilian thing, which of course it's only partly true, because then the symbolism of the reptile, the genies, that's a more, and then in fact, he tends to correct himself when he goes a bit too far. However, the problem with David is that he comes from a leftist background. He was in the Green Party until 1990, I think 1991, 1990. And basically, he left the Green Party, but he never left that leftist mentality. And he's pro-Palestinian. He is, and it's controversial the way he goes against Trump, but at the same time, he goes against the royal family. The royal family now is openly supporting Zelensky. Great Britain is openly showing their true colors. And David Icke is accusing Donald Trump, who is the guy who actually gave a slap down to this puppet of Zelensky. I think that David Icke needs to understand that actually Trump is no ordinary politician. He's in his second mandate. He's not searching for any other further mandate because he can't have a further mandate. They can only have 2 mandates. But he's doing his job based on promises made, promises kept. And he has the backing of the American people. So, of course, you can support them for certain things or not support them. But what David Icke doesn't understand here is that we're trying to fight the system that in Davos, J.D. Vance criticized that system. Trump himself, in front of the Davos elite, when he intervened this year, criticized them. We need to have somebody who represents us. I mean, we can never, we can not always be against every single politician, every single person who represents an institution and just being anarchic. Like you're showing, of course, the face of Anonymous, which is this known anarchic kind of active group.
But they're not, because they're Leo. They're certified on X, so they know their bank account. So Anonymous is not anonymous.
Of course.
If they're certified, how can they be anonymous? I mean, this is bullshit.
Of course.
And they went with the Biden narrative. Now they're complaining about Trump, but they didn't complain about Biden or Kamala before.
You see, here is about. We were talking earlier before we started the show also with Rafa Par regarding Daniel Estulin, who I know you know very well. Now, Daniel Estulin himself is an hypocrite. He wrote a whole book in 2018. He published against Trump, calling him in the most despicable ways. I'm shocked that he can be invited by Alex Jones to talk about Trump. Is Alex Jones a fool? Yes, he is. Alex Jones is being bought out. That's why he doesn't have me on anymore. And he's scared because I wanted to expose his connections with the Vatican. And he called me personally with his secretary and said, oh, you can have a Bando video channel, you can have this and you can have that. I'm saying, if Alex Jones
who has connections with the Vatican? Alex Jones.
Alex Jones is scared that somebody can expose him, because the problem is, if you have accepted money from Elon Musk, and Elon Musk also is a guy who...
But hang on, Leo, this is a very grave accusation. You're accusing Alex Jones that he is with the Vatican or he's in cahoots with Elon Musk. He's getting money from Elon Musk. Come on, serious.
Listen, my friend, I had a direct experience about this, and I'm sorry to bring it out today also for our audience, and probably this video will be also put on Bando Video, but I don't care, because I want to tell the truth why I'm no longer on the Alex Jones show. The thing is, he doesn't want to discuss anymore the Vatican or the Catholic Church or the Jesuits. He doesn't want to discuss these topics anymore. And why don't you want to discuss these topics? Elon Musk, very close to Pope Francis, he went there with his family, photos, this and that. I know only one thing, that he has never had me again on his show after I was a little bit critical of Elon Musk. I know that Greg Reese has left InfoWars because of that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Alex is a bad person. It's just that after becoming the subject of a lawsuit that has, in theory, bankrupted him, he might have done some compromises. Now, I hope that's not the case, because Alex used to be a friend. But not having me on anymore has demonstrated to the whole world that he's scared of touching on these topics. He's not discussing the Pope when this week Carlo Maria Vigano has accused Pope Francis of having raped the novices in Argentina and of having fathered a child who died of cancer over 10 years ago and has been buried in the Vatican in 2019 after being cremated. Do you know about that?
No, I mean, you know, but listen, Alex Jones,
Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, this week.
Vigano then is in cahoots with the Vatican too. or what
No,
is going on here?
Carlo Maria Vigano is no longer with the Vatican. He's been excommunicated by the Pope, but this week he has done a video denouncing the Pope, saying he should be criminally investigated because he fathered a child illegitimately and he raped novices in Argentina, raped little boys in the seminar of the Jesuits.
But listen, this is serious. But asking you again, Vigano, is Vigano with the Jesuits, with Trump?
No,
with
no,
whom?
Vigano is a
He's
great
pro Trump.
guy.
He's pro Trump. He's
pro-Trump.
coming
He's a good
to
guy.
Madrid very often. I have friends that that have met with.
Okay, Vigano, he's clean shit. Okay, now another question: is the Pope Francis? Paquito,
Well, let me talk. Let me talk about David Icke's position.
Is Francis dead? But this is very important. People are asking on the chat.
He's already dead.
Francis dead already?
Yeah, for sure.
He's probably
dead.
already.
They're only waiting for the right moment to announce it.
Listen, the thing is this: they need to sign a few things, and then they keep him just, alive between brackets to sign the nomination of more progressive bishops, to craft this whole conclave that will nominate the first African Pope, which will be probably Cardinal Turkson, who is very close also to Klaus Schwab, who is himself a leftist. Because they want to nominate an African cardinal as pope, but the problem is that most African
they're going to have a black pope. They're going to have a black pope.
Of course.
The real
Who's
black
going to
pope.
be the black pope? Who's going to be the black? This is important. Exclusive. People, this is flash news flash. Incredible, man.
Breaking news. Yeah.
Breaking.
Cardinal
news, man.
Cardinal Turkson, who is from Ghana.
Nobody knows this fucking guy. I thought he was going to be Sarah or somebody like that.
Peter Turkson. Sarah is a conservative. He will never be nominated because you see, Pope Francis has rigged the conclave with over 133 nomination of electoral cardinals, aside from the non-electoral cardinals. So he has rigged the conclave in his image. And it's going to be already decided by him, the future Pope.
Yeah. Coming back to David Icke, Colin, if you let me talk just for...
David Icke, Rafa, come on. We got 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
No, I have to tell good things about him. I have to tell you that I admire his work. He has done a lot of research that most of the people in this conspiracy theory movement has taken profit of them, that has done documentaries, books. So he has done a lot for us. But at the same time, what I am watching about David Icke is what I am watching here in Spain with a lot of our people. I can say that is almost 80% of the people are now in Spain, of our people, against Trump. I call them negatives or nihilism, in the way that, they have been for so long fighting against this power, this secret power, that now that something good is happening, they don't trust anymore. It's something like they have stopped their positive way of thinking. And now, even that Trump and his administration are showing, very positive news. I have a list of them. Vaccines, stopping the war in Ukraine, all these disclosures of the information of killings of the CIA, his fight against the drug cartels, what he's doing about cryptocurrency, a lot of things, even his fight against the European Union, against all the globalists. But even with that, the people don't trust. And I think that David Icke has this poison or this virus in himself, that after so many times, maybe 30 more than 30 years, fighting against this Illuminati, this secret cabal or whatever, it's something that it has become and habit, a custom for his mind, and he doesn't trust anymore in the victory of the good ones. So to me, this is like a projection of how he feel in his inside. In psychology, they call this learned. How do you say? Defenselessness. Learned defenselessness. In Spanish is
So he's
indefensión
assimilating
aprendida.
catastrophism. He's catastrophic. He's a
Yeah.
catastrophist, and he's assimilated that role, and he can get out of that box. Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah,
he has a way of thinking. He's selecting any information that affirms what he's already thinking, and he's not considering the good informations, the positive ones, because if he do it, he will trust the way of thinking. He will be, well, the character David Icke, maybe he's thinking that he will be destroyed because the character David Icke has been successful, going against the government. But if the government is good, what is going to do David Icke afterwards? This is my way of explaining. And being respectful with him, I think he has done a lot. I admire him a lot. I can tell you that I am the one who looked for a publisher for his books in Spain. I was the one who tell a friend of mine, and he got it to the David Icke's books and were publishing here in Spain. So that I am admirer of him, but I don't understand why after so many years fighting, I am exhausted. I am tired. I want to win. And when the victory is coming, he said, okay, no, I don't trust him. So no, this is nonsense. I think that's why I think
Rafa Pal's explanation is really correct. Rafa Pal, you synthesize it in a perfect way. The necessity to continue in the struggle against the New World Order, even when eventually we have somebody that might kick their asses, or at least try, like Trump, he doesn't trust them. I think that you summarized it in the best way possible. In regards to Spain, Spain is a country that up until the 70s had Francisco Franco. And for that reason, now you have a forever socialist government, a forever leftist government, and the whole system is rigged, and people are brainwashed in their schools. But let's not forget, guys, where Ignacio Loyola came from. He came from Spain. At Spezia is still the headquarters of the Jesuit intelligence system. So, I mean, Spain, unfortunately, is a brainwashed country. That's the reality of Spain. And I know Spain very well. Trust me, I've been there, and it's sad, but that's the truth.
It's sad to me, but I agree with you. And what we are talking between us, the people who are in this movement in Spain, is that Spain probably is going to be the latest country to be freed.
Yeah, they're so backwards.
Also, you have
because of what you are saying, because we are, in a sense, we are the roots of all this conspiracy because of the Jesuits. But don't forget that
the alumbrados.
But don't forget that Ignacio de Loyola was what they call at that time a marrano. That is a converted Jewish. That at the end he was Jewish. He was a hidden Jewish. A hidden Jew.
Yeah, well, within the Jewish movement, we call them Erev Rav, because, I mean, those converted Marranos were really very ambiguous. And we know that, for example, the Jesuits initially were fought by the Inquisition, the famous Spanish Inquisition. But then when they saw that, for example, it was actually good for them to make business and to promote themselves through the Inquisition, they immediately accepted, first of all, the post in Portugal, and then they backed the Spanish Inquisition, which had persecuted them up until the day before. I mean, the Jesuits are an opportunistic order. And so that's when people like the Inquisitor Del Rio came in, and this, and the Inquisition became basically a Jesuit affair after having been for a couple of 100 years or more a Dominican affair. So I think that definitely Spain has a lot of responsibility. And that's because you see all those elements, those Gnostic, as well as Islamic, as well as the Kabbalah that the Marranos were bringing in, were all kind of put together and became the magical background of the Jesuit order. So the Jesuit order, Loyola was arrested 3 times by the Inquisition. 3 times.
I think that in a way, Spain is the jewel of the crown.
Yeah,
is the perfect. They always say that, but this is the real thing. We are the cross between Europe, Africa, and America. The crossing between the European culture, the Islamic, the Africans, and the Hispanics in
let's
America.
not forget, Rafa, the role in the Catholic development, because it is a Catholic. It was a Catholic empire, and what happened was that the Jesuits took control of South and Central America, and still to this day we suffer the consequences of what they are doing there. I mean, for example, the reducciones that were experimented by the Jesuits were the first form of communism, and it was experimented with the Indios. And today they say, oh, wow, this is the first type of social democracy. No, it was basically the persecution of these Indios who were treated like slaves.
We have to discuss about this because there are a lot of legends around them, but for another day, maybe. Because
absolutely, I mean,
music is sounding now.
Thank you very much for this great show, guys. Thank you very much, Rafa. Thank you very much, Colin, for putting it together. And I hope to see you soon, both of you. I think.
Okay. Just saying that to me, I think that you were very hard for talking about Alex Jones being in his show, because the show is going to be uploaded there. I think you have to talk with him, and
Rafa, I'm like Trump in front of Zelensky. I don't hide. If he wants to hide, it's a different thing. I don't hide. If he has a problem with me, he should tell me what is that problem. And when he actually called me with his secretary thing, and it wasn't an honest way of doing things. They promised.
Let me tell you one modern Spanish expression. When we talk about another topic, big topic, we talk about abrir un melón, open a new melon, open a new melon. And what I think is Alex now is focusing on a lot of things in his own country for opening this melon about the Catholic Church and your discussion, step by step.
Yeah, no, but listen, Rafa,
we have a lot of melons opened right now, and we have to do step by step the things.
Sure, but one thing, I used to work with InfoWars. I was the Vatican correspondent. I risked my life in Italy to expose scandals like in July 2017, an orgy within the Palace of the Inquisition with Cardinal Cocco Palmiero and his secretary. That was my exclusivity, and that was something that I relayed on InfoWars, like I relayed many other scoops. I risked my life in Italy. In fact, I had to leave in the end in May 2019, and I have never been back. So to risk my life and now have somebody drop me to take on board a guy like Daniel Estolin, who wrote books against Trump. I was the president of Italians for Trump, certified. You go and see it in the newspapers in Italy.
So now I understand.
It's a
what
little
you
bit
were talking about, Daniel Estolin.
About a serious alliance. In 2015, Alex Jones came to Rome personally to say sorry. We met in the Vatican. He said, what do you think of Trump? Should we back him? And I said, yes, for this reason. Because he's a businessman and he can't be bought out. So let's organize something. And I put together also Italians for Trump, which backed him with the Italo-American community. So I think that he has some serious problems at the moment, and I think he should be more honest and open about them. And you see, one thing about us Trumpians is that we like to confront ourselves, even if we don't, if we have an argument publicly against each other, in the end, we come together for Donald J. Trump.
So,
And yes, we'll make the Gulf of America great again. And listen,
Absolutely.
we're gonna give a telling off to Alex Jones, telling off, some telling off to David Icke, another tell off, and we're gonna give a tell off to Zelinsky, the Hobbit, the junkie Hobbit, that for Zelensky. And guys, this has been the Colin Rivers Show, Leo Zagami Show, and we'll see you. I think they're going to put it up on band.com, and we invite
I think, at the end of the day, David Icke has done a great thing for this community. You yourself testimonied, Rafa Pal. We have a lot of esteem for David Icke, but at the moment we have some criticism. The same thing can be said, at least from my perspective, to Alex Jones, but he has done a great service to this community. Yeah. We have to stay in the service of the community. We never have to sell out, and we never have to compromise.
I want to add something, that is that David Icke represents the feelings of a lot of conspiracy theories. The thing is that it's not him. There are a lot of people who are thinking the same as David Icke. So that I think that we have to have a conversation between us and rethink what was our primary goal when we started doing this.
The truth movement has to be reshaped.
What were our proposal, and what of the things that previously we thought about are coming now? And then start thinking, okay, if I have to change my mind and start thinking positively, maybe it's not so bad. Then
we have to go. We have to go, Rafa,
in a negative way for 20 years, no? We can be optimistic and we can be happy. We have this opportunity.
Of course, always positive, never negative. Always positive. Always positive with Elon Musk, that's been replaced by a clone and by my computer chip, the AI of Colin Rivers Show. Leo Zagami, leozagami.com. There you go, Leo. Always America. Make the Gulf of America and New Spain great again. Rafa Pal Books, rafapal.com. On the Alex Jones Show, you'll be there. Listen, people, SpongeBob says yes, approves for Leo and Rafa Pal. And don't forget to get my book about the great global warming con. There you go. All the culprits right here on Colin Rivers Show. Bye-bye, people. I love you. Beautiful people. Beautiful, beautiful. And eat a lot of meat, a lot of protein, and saturated fats from animals. It's great. Don't eat grains. No. Leo Zagami Show. Everything. Go. Yeah.